right? And Ruler, I think, is a player who has a lot of high highs, but isn't quite necessarily going to be the same stable player. And then Lehens, we've seen what impact he's made on Nongshim already as a shot caller, and I think that it's going to take time for Duro to develop into a similar role here. So when you think about those aspects and some of the mistakes we've seen here, it's not that surprising. But for GENG fans, you're hoping that they could solve it quickly, because this best of 5 is happening now, and you do not want to drop down to the lower bracket as Ambessa's stocks will shoot up here. Hanwha Life will move to the blue side. Kalista going to be banned against Viper. No shocker there. Skarner, Kalista persist. But the Mel is one of those question marks we have.
Yeah, she was banned every single time by GENG. In fact, as a first ban. Could be the last one here, but instead the Nocturne's going to be taken away. Even with the Aurora and the Galio both gone, Nocturne and Orianna still available, and so not going to be something let through here, as they do target the jungle quite a lot. One final ban, possibly just a Mel, as GENG do have one that is a little bit more flexible. Instead, they take away Peanuts Nidalee.
I feel like Poppy is super underrated in this situation. A very flexible pick. You could go for it first pick. You could go Mel if Zeka is confident on it, or if Viper is going to potentially play it, because we've discussed that a few times. I wouldn't be shocked if he did. The Mel is being hovered for now. I don't think you want Chovy to play it. So basically this is Zeka saying, if he does, I'm confident at least in this matchup, especially in the early levels, to try to get some advantages there. As we are going to see it, it looks like in this series.
Yeah, so the Azir going to be the decision instead for Zeka. Goes back to some comfort, but some hovers at least on the Mel. We were expecting that she would go into the hands by the Chovy or Viper, so if it is left up, Viper could still play it in theory.
It doesn't feel like a Zeka champion, you know?
No, it doesn't. She is going to be locked, so theoretical flex all over the place, especially with Keen's propensity to play a bunch of random mages on the top side of the map. Who knows? He could also be one wanting to play it.
Sure. There's the question now of AD carry, because, you know, some of our big picks, the Ezreal, the Kai'Sa, the Varus, those are all gone. The Corki, one of a smaller AD carry pick, a little bit more niche, is gone. See the Lock of Leona, almost tempting an Elise pick here. Elise Caitlyn could be just the rotation here for Hanwha Life if they're confident to lock that in this composition, because it feels so good into Leona, regardless of what that AD carry is going to be.
I think Evelyn was a little bit buffed on this patch. Don't know whether it's actually going to mean that Peanut will pull the trigger, especially with some magic damage already represented. He's pretty good at Maokai, has played a fair bit of this champion, and hasn't found a whole lot of losses on it in the more recent times. So going to lock that one away. In theory, a pickup for Delight as well.
Ooh.
Okay.
I don't know about this.
Where are the champions going?
I don't know about this one. Keria showcased that LeBlanc support can really just not work.
Okay, it's Jax.
That makes a lot more sense. But this does mean that the Elise and the Caitlyn are likely off the cards here. See what comes with this Leona. Ziggs would be blind if they wanted to lock that here for Ruler. I just don't really feel like, especially with the Mel you already have, that that's necessary. There's some synergy between the two of them, but it's a lot of magic damage to be locking away at this point.
Silas could be picked up, or a Lilia here for Canyon.
That's a little bit odd to see.
Yeah, I kind of like it though. It means that now you're capable of playing a whole bunch of bruises all over the place.
Definitely, and Mel's still technically flexible here in this draft, but
I'm kind of thinking that it needs to go to Ruler if I want to like the draft.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. That's why I'm saying technically flexible, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to work that way. Because you are on red side, you can hold that flexibility. It's hard for Hanwha Life to punish you. So we will see a Lulu ban. I think both Zeri and Jinx in this scenario pretty good in the Hanwha Life esports composition, because they can lock people in place. They've got Peel and Engage for days. Yeah, it's pretty standard. Like when you have Azir, Maokai, Jax, any sort of scaling AD carry is going to feel really good in front-to-back setups.
I think that, like, if Viper Delight lock Caitlyn Bard, I'm thinking that this game's a wash, and GENG just accepts the loss and moves on to the next one. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what sort of counter champion they could have to stop any sort of Caitlyn. I mean, if they just ban Caitlyn here, that takes it out of the equation. Caitlyn at this point in time would be blind, of course, but you know there's a Leona there. And that's kind of all you need to know. And Caitlyn Elise still goes hard. They will ban the Elise.
Okay, so targeting Delight's champion pool instead. Obviously still does have quite a few things that he can play, but will make it a little bit more difficult, especially to create that kill lane that the Elise really likes to have.
This comp is super squishy here too for GENG right now. Renekton is taken away. There's obviously no Ornn, and Cassante and Bessa gone. Poppy now gone.
Ooh, a Poppy ban on this side is actually kind of interesting, given the fact that you can already see the Leona. She hasn't really been out of the support role so far this LCK Cup.
Yeah, a little bit surprised about that. Perhaps expecting Keen could potentially play it into the Jax, but a weird one now.
Okay.
You have Leona, so the misfortune is safe, technically speaking. You know, the Mel root can set up the bullet time, so can the Leona, so can Asleep, at least temporarily. So it's not a bad call in this situation, but of course blind.
This is the other option into it. You just sort of, let's take the gameplay out. And so Viper can stand back and just fire bullets from afar. We saw Smash find a massive amount of success with that in one of the games that they won, bringing them to 5 against HLE earlier on this week.
The Jin pick is part of why Hanwha ended up going to the summer finals and outclassed T1 and crushed the Ziggs pick. When you look back to summer 2024, it's a pick that Viper has had a lot of recent success on. Very strong on this patch too, especially with the champion pool as thinned out as it is. And for support here, I'm hoping it's not a Bard.
Blitzcrank, that would be crazy. This is even more crazy. This felt like a carrier-only type option as the Pyke is going to be locked in here for Delight. It's a lot of power as Kane thinking about some piracy towards the top side. We'll see whether Duro does lock that one in for him. That would mean a lot of damage represented and a lot of area control here for GENG.
This comp is so complex and so difficult to play for GENG with no real strong front line outside of the Leona, but they are going to opt into it. I think if you consider how well this comp can work, if all parts work together with Mel's long-range poke, the Lilia setup, the barrel chains, also the global that Keen has to impact and set up slows and then help get a root for Chovy, or even a slow. Like even if Chovy hits his E and it slows a lot of people, that can help set up a bullet time or help set up Lilia damage. But every individual part, if it gets caught, if it's not all set up as a 5-man unit, I feel like Hanwha Life Esports, this comp just rips it to shreds. It's so good at isolating targets. It's good at 5v5 too if your initial setup doesn't work out. And GENG, especially considering the mental right now, I would imagine, after nearly losing that second game, losing game 1, it's a very fragile composition. Still, though, Coach Kim confident in his players here, because I think this can work. It's just, it has to be piloted so incredibly well. And maybe GENG of previous years I would trust. Right now, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with you. I actually think that if I saw GENG picking this last year, I'd be like, oh man, we are in for a treat. And I would be all sorts of excited about it. But that's sort of not the world we're living in here at this stage of the LCK Cup. And they have an opportunity now to find a match point in this best-of-5 series, put them in that matchup against DK, and also, most importantly, retain that extra life moving on here in these playoffs. But they're going to have to do it with some weird and wonderful champions, as Lilia Mel is not the mid-jungle duo that I was considering for this particular game. See how it goes. We jump into the Rift for game number 3. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, ready to see whether this GENG composition is going to work, as the first Q is going to connect there from Chovy. Nicely done. Thumbs up comes on through from Ruler.
The mana is flowing.
Oh,
Second's like, man, how'd you get hit by that?
A whole bunch of extra mana, actually. Ridiculous. Such a huge advantage that Chovy now does have. As wards go down, everyone just trying to get an idea as to whether or not there's going to be some lane swaps coming on through.
Yeah, trying to get some of that information. And we will, in fact, have Keen heading towards the bottom lane.
Oh, look at that. Zayas doing some fishing. 2 gold already.
Yeah, he's like, if you're going to swap, I'm just going to get free money.
Uh-huh. Spend some time doing so.
Keep an eye on that, the top of your bottom of the screen. Oh, you got 3. You got a third one.
It's ridiculous. How dare he be able to just do that?
Well, I guess the mana flow ban stack for Chovy is just completely irrelevant now.
Yeah, it's nullified. Not with that much fish. It's now being served up on a silver platter.
So there's some things that can be deflected in this game, obviously. Like the Maokai ultimate one part of it can be sent back. The
Curtain
call, and also
Bone Skewer is very weird.
Bone Skewer, you
probably don't want it.
Yeah, don't reflect that one. Also, the Flourish is one that you could find value with if you're able to deflect. I believe that can be deflected.
No, the Deadly Flourish you can't. You can nullify it, of course, but you cannot deflect it.
Okay, well that's good to know. As Duro
is going to have to flash very early on in this one. Viper going to be able to find a 4th shot there as well. Speaking of Deadly Flourish, that goes down onto Ruler.
If you can't deflect the Flourish, I mean, there just isn't a whole lot of value out of the deflect, but the reason I brought this up is because I think a lot of people are going to be looking at it. She can't even deflect that much stuff in this game, but I mean, that's not all of what Mel is. She's an artillery mage. She does a ton of damage. Her ultimate...
And I think being able to ignore the ultimate from Peanut is going to be very important.
Yeah, exactly.
Well. I mean, you can't deflect that much, but if you can deflect the one thing that's the most important to deflect, you're pretty psyched.
Yeah, you're going to feel good about just surviving in that situation, and you can often protect people as a result with it as well.
There's just sort of standing there as he does eventually just press W.
Yeah.
Keen takes a whole host of damage.
But Mel can do a ton of damage in team fights if set up correctly. Like a big sleep hits, and she's able to layer on top of that with a root, and then hit a big Q, and then press R. It's a lot of damage.
Ooh, another Bone Skewer going to connect here as Duro. He has Eclipse and Aftershock, and so therefore it's understandable that HLE just back away. Oh, I am really interested in how this is going to go as another Bone Skewer. Oh, that pesky minion, very pesky. Zekka and Chovy just going to be trading, using a whole bunch of their mana bars for now, but otherwise not too much more going to be coming from it. Both junglers sort of in the area. As Canyon's moving in, Peanut, the positioning fantastic. Don't know where that bowling ball was going to go. That was a gutter ball if ever I've seen it. Going to need to have the bumpers on.
Yeah,
I think if you really want to be landing some of those, because that was never hitting.
Yeah, certainly not quite yet. But it's not the mid-jungle combo that super hyped about in this comp. It's kind of how much poke and setup there is in big team fights. It's not a circles comp in the traditional sense with CC, but it is kind of a circles of damage comp. And so if you can set up everything well and you can continue to have prio throughout this entire game, there are certainly ways you can make it tough for Hanwha to go in.
Well, here is yet another one. Chovy going to be throwing down that slowy circle. As Zekka also trying to offer some damage back, but not really too much going to be gleaned here as we go back to the top lane once again. Some more biffo as the counter-strike comes down. Going to need to eat some oranges, perhaps, never mind. Keen does instead do the walk tactic, where he just wanders away and then just presses the back button.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
I believe Jack's got a mana buff on this patch, if I'm not remembering incorrectly, and he's got plenty of mana, so if Keen just teleports here, he can potentially continue to put that pressure on. He is just going to look for a plate and stay. Delight.
Oh dear, Peanut's moving in. There's the Bone Skewer combo as Duro going to get smashed against the wall over and over again. And Viper picks up first blood for the first time in the series. HLE, the ones to strike first. And still happening here towards the top side as well, but a really good gank there from Peanut.
Yeah. I mean, this is a matchup that can be very skill-based. It's very tough to play out, but you know, the Jax winning it is quite tricky, and I feel like Zeus is really just playing on the edge of it.
Oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, Make It Rain comes down, Viper. I don't know whether that flash is going to be enough, but the captive audience going to work out here as Empress Divide gets a flash out of Chovy. Delight looking to help out. Zekka well and truly out of that blue stuff, and so he's just going to go back home. And Delight slinks off into the fog of war. Might need to just, you know, press that undertow button to get himself out of there. It's making me nervous.
Both top laners did teleport. Keen was able to survive, but in technicality only, finds himself about 10 CS down a plate as well, and has no prio for these grubs. As you can see here, Peanut still half a level away from 6, so doesn't have that big game-changing ultimate just yet. Canyon, on the other hand, power farm through, does have his level 6, and is going to be able to look to deny any entry here. And Keen actually just decides to push the wave while Jax came early, and Genji maintained prio.
Yep. Cannon Barrage being available as well is a huge deal as we find yet another one. Nice little stun on Doduro there as two men still on these grubs. First one has already gone down. We'll see whether Peanut can get himself in there to try and grab at least one of them away. It looks like not going to be the case. And so GENG, they secure not only that, but a portion of the feats of strength as well, as now Zeus could be in trouble. Bowling Ball will connect. And now it is sleepy time for the Jacks. In goes Delight to try and get him out of there. And in fact, Zeus just leap strikes away. Does have to use the flash as well, but going to be surviving in this top lane.
Yeah, he waited to flash until after the sleep, was able to set up his counter-strike during the sleep. That was well played. Just flashed at the last possible second. I thought he would just try to flash to buy space there before the sleep went off, but has the counter-strike, happy enough to use that one. Still has to use it, but he gets away. We'll actually get all of this wave as well. Peanut still doesn't have level 6, so I just don't think there's anything they can get here on the top side. They were so desperate for it, well, they won't get any punish.
Yep, Peanut going to be able to take the Rift Scuttler. That's going to be able to get him that level 6. Now that Pivotal Ultimate going to be available. All right, let's see whether Chovy can get the fancy footwork. He cannot, as he's flicked right into the Twisted Advance. And yes, he presses the rebuttal button, then he's ignored, and then he's killed.
Yeah. Might as well have just yelled, "Objection!"
Yeah, and then they're like, no.
We're not playing Ace Attorney, Chovy.
No, unfortunately.
Well, that was unfortunately.
Wait, maybe he was playing Ace Attorney, but it's just when you select the wrong option and the judge is like, "You're a moron, try again," and then you lose one of the little feathers. I think he lost a feather.
Yeah, I think little judge finger wagging may have been.
Yeah, I think so.
May have been in motion. So Delight has hit so many skewers this game, and most of them haven't really ended up being high impact. This one obviously does. Chovy has no flash. He is just doomed. And Hanwha Life were like, we're going to make something happen on the top side of the map, even though Peanut doesn't have ult. They stick around, Delight stays, and I think Chovy just didn't expect it there. Ends up getting caught. So it's a kill for Zeka. 2 kills here for Hanwha Life Esports, despite giving over grubs. Yeah, very good about the start of this game.
This is absolutely huge, because I want to talk about what you were saying earlier on in game number 1, where we're talking about resources in Fearless. So there are times where you can use too many, and that's what we kind of felt like in game number 1, because it was like all of HLE's favorite champions. And so GENG getting them out of the way early is really, really good. But this, I think, is a completely different story, right? Because if you have a champion that a player hasn't necessarily found that much success on in their career, such as Delight on Pyke, for instance, like, you're feeling super good if you're able to win this game because you get it without having to invest one of those big picks that you're really good at.
Yeah.
Jhin for Viper, another one. He's a great Jhin player, but it's not something like if he was playing Caitlyn that he's really liked during the LCK Cup, you'd be like, oh, that's using another resource. This, not so much. Zeka taking Azir away from Chovy as well feels fantastic, and it's only really Peanut on the Maokai, who absolutely loves this champion and finds a lot of success with it, that you're kind of investing into making that happen. So as far as Fearless drafts, I feel like this is certainly up there with some of the more successful ones.
They decided to go for the Maokai early, but it's one of those picks that deserves that prio for this player specifically. There's been a lot of debate. Let's hold up. Not going to get into the debate yet.
Duro might be going in, and I don't know whether he really wants to, as now the Brambles come out. Yep, Chovy going to send one of them back. Look at that, look at the look. That's so cute. I was actually like, we knew that not all of them were going to go back, but it just, I don't know why, it just looks so funny.
It's so funny because how the rebuttal works, you always think it's just going to go back like it would work for mirrored, but it goes towards the caster.
Yeah,
so when you see that, like Maokai, you're like, oh, it's going to go in back towards like nothing, and it's like, no, it's following them very slowly. Watch out.
I just wanted to go back. You can see, I mean, he's covered in cats. It makes sense.
Yeah. And, I mean, this draft here for GENG, again, it's playable. It's just so challenging.
Yeah, and these Misfortune drafts always make me nervous. You know, Smash did his best to relieve some of those nerves for me, but you need to get decent advantages to make that happen.
I mean, to me, Misfortune feels like the Yuumi of AD carry. Like, you don't do that much with on your own. Like, you're relying on other people. Some is just in a team fight will literally press Q and R after, you know, walking fast towards the team fight, and you're not really front to backing. Your positioning is important, and that's the tricky part of it. But it's not like Yuumi and easy. It's just you don't get to use your AD carry mechanics to show you.
Yeah, there we get proof that the Deadly Flourish does work that way, and the rebuttal not going to be available. Death from below comes on through as the Cannon Barrage not going to be enough to take down Delight. And so Viper killing his ex-mid laner from his Griffin days. And Chovy not really finding too much success here on this Mel.
Yeah, may have been able to flash it. I'll watch it back in a minute when we have that replay, but you and I just keep talking about like how Genji's comp is hard, and it just keeps being hard, and they keep losing small things.
Oh, Peanut is going to give his X80 carry a hug, and then just wanders away. Zeka going to be moving down. You can see Canyon able to watch out Eep and grab that dragon. But now Emperor's Divide going to push Bambi back. He's going to need to flash as now the Bramble Cats are chasing after the deer. And watch out, Eep is going to be able to get enough distance here for Lilia to survive. We're trading a lot of buttons. However, it is going to be the dragon secured by GENG, and yet again, Earth, Wind, and Fire potential. Yeah. First it was Chemtech, then it was Hextech. Now maybe we will have that mountain. Zeus with the Grandmaster's Might, not exactly finding much value against the Pirate, who with this Trinity Force is looking pretty strong.
That's scary there, but he did have some teammates nearby. Unfortunately, none of them with ults. Viper coming over. We're not done.
We're doing it one more time as Delight doesn't quite find the angle. I think that was just a little bit of a bone skewer onto a minion situation. As, you know, I think he deserves at least a miss because his accuracy has been very, very good on this spike so far. All right, Zeus' turn to fight up against Chovy. And Chovy just going to push him away. Curtains have been called here as now Keen. Oh dear, last bullet should kill him, but instead he just holds his nerve. Doesn't wander to the left.
Very scary moment there, but still the problem stands. Back interrupted, back slowed, and you mentioned the flourish. I feel like Chovy may have been able to just flash right there, and then maybe he still gets skewered, but I guess he's just confident that Delight will probably hit him anyways and just wants to save the flash and doesn't buy that extra space, so ultimately goes down. Still has his flash, though, of course.
Yep.
You know, I was going back to the point I was making earlier before we had that fight breakout. Is Delight just keeps doing things, so it's hard to get deep. But you know, some players have been outspoken that they feel like they're not ready for Fearless, or they need a lot more training. They have a smaller champion pool. The other players like Barrel are like, "You're a pro, get over it. Be like me, I play everything." And I feel like Delight is definitely kind of the middle ground. I feel like he's not as storied as some of our other players here, like Lehens, but he's got quite a history, you know, like he has won a few titles now. He is a very strong player.
And he also paid his dues on the bros.
Yeah, and you know, I look at him playing the Pike here and I'm like, it's good to see the development of this player, you know, you could trust him to play something like this.
All right, well, we've got some FPX circles here towards the bottom side of the map as the Solar Flare is feeling a little bit offhand from Duro. But Zeus not even pressing the Counter-Strike button just yet as he presses it just in the nick of time there. Able to clear out the minion wave and will get himself out of the way. As Emperor's Divide going to throw Canyon back once again, and unfortunately, he is just dead. Death from below. Delight claiming the extra money at the same time.
Yeah, Duro and Chovy here trying to get this turret on the opposite side. And they do have the faster speed for it. It's not going to be feats of strength if it does go over.
I've seen this movie before as Zeus once again, this time I think just going to die as he does get a bunch of that health back. But still, Chovy, remember, as long as you're tagged, you're going to die if he presses R. And so he does do that, and that is going to claim the kill.
Yeah. Saves the turret for a little bit longer, and now Hanwha rotating up faster, so might be able to deny that first brick from going over. This is what I was talking about in terms of if anyone's isolated for GENG, everyone's squishy, you just kind of get picked apart. And Hanwha have been moving as a roaming death squad with Delight kind of at the helm of the ship, which is, you know, fitting for Pike. He's just kind of the ocean water kind of thing guy.
Yep.
Zeus buys a lot of time here, helps clear out the wave, which helps keep this turret alive. Chovy has to use his execute with his R button to get the kill, but saves the turret. There's no wave, and then going to live, that turret's still alive. Hanwha grouped up topside. GENG did not have that.
Kind of nutty that that one is still up and available, and especially with the fact that Hanwha Esports have the first feat of strength. If they could get a turret first, that would be huge news.
Yeah, it would have been huge for GENG to get that. Then they just need to get one dragon.
Yeah.
They have it, but now that it's denied, I mean, it may still go down, but the fact that it's not down is so frustrating.
I think HLE, if they do want to stop that turret from being a real win condition here for GENG, they're going to need to move a lot of resources towards that top side right now. Zeus, the only one really up here with Peanut kind of waiting in the wings.
Zeka has TP, Keen does not. His ultimate is coming online soon. That'll be helpful, but doesn't have it just yet. And look at the grouping here on Herald for Hanwha. It's just way better And GENG need everybody to all be there together to set up these team fights. If they get picked apart again, it's a disaster. Delight.
Yeah, captive audience comes on through once again. Duro going to be guaranteed to take the damage because, of course, the Bone Skewer did come through. That was actually very cute. Bit of synergy there between the Jhin and the Pyke.
There's a lot of synergy with how they work together. And with the Umbral Glaive and Sweeper, obviously, just in general, it's hard to get vision on these objectives, and then it's hard to take those really ideal team fights that GENG are looking for.
Chovy just kind of wailing on Zeus here. Of course, in these extended trades, you do end up taking a lot here from the Mel.
Chovy went Archangels first for safety. Gives him a little bit more mana for poke as well, but I mean, he's kind of slowed down on hitting some of the big team fight items that you'd want. Herald does go down.
Yep, Delight gonna have to get out of here. As you can see, Canyon thinking about taking this dragon. It looks like that should be an option, but the problem is, if they are going to waste their time there, unless Chovy's able to take this turret, it could just be feats of strength going over to HLE.
And if Zeus flashes that route too, he's just dead, I think.
Yeah, look at this.
Now they just get this turret, and they have dragon control. Like, Onward just winning everywhere, and GENG cannot group. They just can't get together.
I mean, the turret is going to stay alive, but that is still a lot of damage going on down. As I think now they should be able to find the angle as Rebuttal does come on through. If Zeus can survive, it will be so huge. Death from below, and Delight will execute the Mel. And Keen is teleported in. There's that feat of strength. He says, oh, let a pirate take care of it. Yar and stuff like that. As he takes down Delight. All right, Keen, honestly, is the one guy on GENG I have no notes for.
Yeah,
this guy has just been good.
He has been. He had a tough time in the early laning phase, but look at how much money he has now. It's just one kill, but he has his passive, right, with his parlay, and he's up 40 CS, has the turret now.
That's called a cast a curse, ladies and gentlemen. Chronicler would say that they're not real. However, we have just proved that they are indeed real, as Keen overextends and dies.
But, you know, he does pull Peanut back, and they didn't get the dragon. Like, that dragon is feats of strength for whoever gets it at this point, because GENG got first turret. So I do feel like, you know, even though he died there, he bought a lot of space on the map. And as you can see, GENG are taking the dragon in live, so this kind of works out as they pulled GENG, or rather pulled Hanwha Life topside so many times, threatening this turret, that it's really worked out. This time they get it, they get multiple kills. And then Keen pushing deep allows him to get this dragon as well, and that is feats of strength over to GENG. So even though it looked silly, I don't actually think it was a caster curse in this case, necessarily.
He was just baiting. All right, Blood Petal going to be picked up here by Zeka. And then we'll be able to get to work on this outer turret towards the top side of the map. We know feats of strength aren't necessarily end of the world, or be-all and end-all, or any of that sort of stuff. Zeus doesn't like this matchup. I think he really liked the Pirate matchup. Felt like that one was a good one. This one, not so good, is now Peanut going to be fighting against Duro, who does run out of Eclipse. Delight looking for a bit of an angle there as well, but spots Canyon making his way down, and they decide instead that they will be backing away.
Viper, the fast track rotating over, though. GENG should be careful about overcommitting here.
Yep, curtains can be called at any time here. As let's see, Counter-Strike going to be coming through first as Rebuttal. Not really too much there going to be happening as the Deadly Flourish connects onto Duro, but otherwise not too much more. So Artican going to spawn, turns up towards the top side of the map, and outer turret claimed in the mid lane and in the top lane, and that is why HLE does have a decent gold advantage at this moment.
Yeah. The feats of strength have been pretty big, but they have not been as big as people exaggerated they would be before the season started. I think specifically the biggest winner for feats has kind of been Swifties in a lot of these comps, especially Viper would have loved to have those upgraded Swifties, but
oh yeah,
that's a big denial that GENG get, and they have, you know, 2 Drake lead on Hextech. So yes, down a little bit here in gold, but they have a lot of their own advantages as well, and they've been able to play the map well enough to actually still get value despite not having the greatest team fights, and some of these skirmishes have gone poorly for them. You know, Viper is pretty big in this game because he picked up those 3 kills with the help of Delight. But I still feel like I'm not ready to say GENG can't play this comp yet. I feel like there's still a few team fights that need to be had before we can fully judge what this is capable of.
Well, the thing is, Keen is an absolute monster.
Yes.
He has 2 items completed. Zeus cannot boast the same. He's just looking to do the best that he can. He's 50 CS behind. That's the crazy thing, is that Keen has just been inside lanes and still able to utilize his ultimate to help out if there is ever a team fight.
And he has Okay, hold up. Chovy?
Chovy might be in a little bit of trouble here, as the rebuttal is going to move Delight forward. The FPX logo once again is going to spell death for Delight, and so the Pyke looking a little bit silly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and Keen is about to get his teleport back here, so, you know, if GENG want to continue to try to basically toy with the idea of taking Otacon, keep Hano Life honest, there's a real angle there.
Oh, now Viper could be the one in trouble. You're not quite connecting there, though. And so Viper going to be absolutely fine for the minute. Deadly Flourish is not as nice. Does do a fair bit of damage there to Chovy. Is now Keen, possibly in trouble. This is a lot of investment just to try and kill the GP. As Zeka has found Canyon, so maybe he's going to pick that one up instead. Gets the flash out for the Emperor's Dividers. Watch out, Eep is going to be coming on through there, but Canyon cannot stand his ground against this guy. Peanut's now found Duro as the fight's happening all over the place. Zeus manages to take down his opposite number, and now Chovy is surrounded. The call of the curtains there from Viper is going to slow him down, and yeah, death from below is going to spell even more money there at the same time. Duro flashing, but I don't know whether he has anywhere else to go as, oh my god, these bullets. Ruler has said, I want nothing to do with these shenanigans, and I will take an inner turret, but I think HLE, they'll take a whole bunch of kills and possibly get an inner turret of their own. Yeah, and having this much control over the bottom side before this dragon spawns is pretty massive for them as well. We'll be able to deny Soul Point from GENG if they can pick that one up. As Ruler 0-0-0 on this Misfortune, because again, and when I say it's the Yuumi of AD carry, I don't mean it's easy. It's just you don't get to showcase your mechanics and your skills that much on this pick. You need to be set up. And it is also easy.
I mean, it is pretty easy, to be fair. But it's just not like, it's not Yuumi easy.
Yeah.
You got to position well and stuff like that. But
and that's no slight. Like, Misfortune was designed to be a simpler AD carry to play.
Exactly. When you look at fights like this is the exact type of fight that Hano wants to take every time. It's broken up. The combos can't be set up. And there's just so much.
Oh god, the value.
So high value. You just need really clean setup and prio advantages to win clean team fights. Otherwise, Hano Life just walk over you. And so the call to just hard commit by Zeka there to push onto Canyon, I think was absolutely correct. And then they had to teleport to back it up.
Watching the curtain call get rebutted, by the way, was the funniest thing, because Viper didn't even notice that the bullet came back and hit him in the head. He just kept shooting. Oh, it was very, very weird.
Yeah.
Didn't even seem to do anything, as Chovy did manage to at least get some value there for one of them. As Otacon just going to be picked up here for free by HLE. And now they're going to move over and get themselves the Hextech Dragon. And I think maybe this has something to do with what happened in game number 2. They prioritize the Otacon, and then they go to the Dragon. We're learning, Wolf. We're learning here. On the go.
Evolution. IE is done for Viper. He is so big.
Yeah, that is a huge spike.
I mean, he basically can one-shot anybody who gets caught by Peanut, gets caught by Counter-Strike, Delight hits somebody, he just shoots them and they die.
And so many times we see Jin get picked and there's Sejuani, Cassante on the other side, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
This time, though, it's Lilia, Gangplank, Mel, Misfortune. Yeah, Leona's pretty tanky, but she's a support, so doesn't have the levels or the base stats and stuff to make her truly a tank. Like, this is the Jin angle, and he's 4-0-3. Like, it's the perfect time to be Jin, and I hate Jin. No matter what. Like, I just dislike the champion. I feel like more often than not he's useless. So that's high praise is what I'm saying, as he sidesteps beautifully, gets slowed there by the Solar Flare, and also needs to flash to get out of all of Mel's damage. All right, that is some value there from Peanut, who gets the Bramble Smash as well. The Emperor's Divide comes in, and the bullets are raining down. Keen gets popped with just a third one. Remember, it's the fourth that's the most dangerous. Duro trying to run away. The kitty cat not going to be able to chase him down this time. But I think GENG got the message.
Yeah, they've got eyes on Baron, and even with the picks coming through, they're not really truly picks. Yep. As Zeus doesn't have teleport because he used it to join that fight, and actually it was a really nice cutoff angle there from him. He dies, but he buys so much space there. He can walk back. I mean, it's Hex Gates too. Look, Delight's already there basically, and look at where Zeus is going. He's like, they don't even need me for this. This is so free.
And Canyon, he doesn't have flash. Like, what are you going to be able to do? Nothing. Zero. And Ruler is in his position. And guess what that means? That means he... okay, never mind. Delight will let him live.
But he loses his flash, that's for sure.
Yep, he did have to flash.
That was kind of creative from Zeus, though. He's like, maybe Ruler will just be like, well, we can't do Baron. I guess I'll push. And he goes for the long wraparound with the Hex Gate. Viper, you can hate Jhin, but you can't hate Viper.
No, you cannot.
That's just how it goes. Viper with a good flash here. Did have the cleanse, but wasn't really willing to use it there. Flashes the root, make sure he can get out, and now he's got curtain call value. Look at Zeus doing so much in this fight. And yes, he sacrifices himself, but he's got the withdrawal, so it just doesn't matter.
And also, that's a full bullet time eaten by a Jax that straight up did not care even a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Misfortune not really finding the value this time around. I think this is the majority of the Misfortunes we've seen so far this LCK Cup. Unfortunately, she just doesn't have the same value that we've seen her have in previous seasons.
It's a game 3 in Fearless Draft, and I feel like Genji's comp is not a comp. Hanwha Life definitely is, and they are punishing hard.
Yep, there's a nice rebuttal there from Chovy, but he's not going to have it for this. As the kitty cats come down, the parade comes on through. Duro just going to get melted as the curtain call is going to be heading towards the enemy base. There's death from below as Delight gets himself out of there very comfortably. Keen, oh, he's Keen against the world. What it feels like as he just gets thrown back, sandwiched between the wall and destroyed by this bazooka that Viper has now. Almost 4 items completed. Canyon trying to dance around his base, and Peanut happily tanking up any turret shot that he would like. HLE now just going to push through. This should be match point for them as well over GENG. A big difference to what we've seen between these two teams in the group stage of this tournament. Still may not be over just yet as the Solar Flare picks the middle of everyone, and Duro will be dying for it. Delight also going to go down, but I feel like that's been what he's been looking for the majority of the day. As a huge bullet goes into the back of the head of the Lilia once again, and Viper says goodnight to the Nexus. Man, what a Jhin performance for that guy. As, yeah, Delight big grins.
Just a phenomenal performance by the whole team. And I think it can't be overstated how wonky the GENG draft was. Not impossible to execute, but near impossible. And against a good team like Hanwha Life and against the roaming Pyke, I mean, everything except the Pyke, and even the Pyke is kind of halfway, was pretty standard in terms of drafting for Hanwha Life. They once again got a draft that has cohesion and has their players playing champs they're incredibly good at.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the other side, it's like, does Chovy know how to play Mel? Probably, we'll find out. But also Canyon's playing Lilia Mel, jungle mid, GP, there's no tank here. Keen played well, but what did he do in team fights? Not a whole lot.
Ruler is not going to hear the end of that one.
Maybe he did hit turrets a little bit.
He did. Unfortunately, that isn't represented on this graph, and so now he has actually done almost half the damage of the enemy Pyke.
Duro's getting close to his damage number.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really showing that, honestly, like, I think once again, Keen had a good game. Like, Keen has been great throughout this whole series. HLE, though, just running circles around GENG, I think, in the draft and in the game here for game number 3. Game 4, possibly a different story, as a side selection switch up, maybe a bit of a change here, but the biggest thing is pick better champions for what you want to do, GENG, and bring us to those silver scrapes. That's what we ask for. Time for a break, then the space, then we'll have that game 4. See you soon.
확실하게 해야 된다. 끝났다. 아니 릴리아 노플이야. 노플 노공이라며. 방금 노플 노공 아무것도 못해. 레오나 몸 비빈다. 빠져서. 야 릴리아 2만 맞지만. 오케이. 괜찮아. 레오나는 무시하고 그냥 파워쳐 될 때? 죽이자 이거. 타워부터 밀고 죽이자. 죽여야 되는데. 죽여야 되는데. 타워 쳐도 끝나긴 할 듯. 이제는 타워 치는 게 좋아. 딜러 나와서.
아 잡아 그냥
잡을래? 잡아도 끝나.
캐리 했잖아 초반에